Welcome back to another episode of AMA Ask Me Anything with Amy, where you as my hotties and my customers open up and ask me your burning questions about the business, the side hustle, my family life, personal life, entrepreneurial questions, anything that you want to know. I'm an open book. And this time we are taking it a little bit to a entrepreneurial level of what to do if you're just starting out. So we have another subsidiary and arm of our entire hot brand called the Hautie Hustle, where I can help and coach and encourage you as new entrepreneurs, maybe even experienced entrepreneurs that might be stuck or in a rut or can't find your way in your current avenue in your business. And so we want to open up with questions about how we've been around for 13 years, how we've made it this long as hot as a brand, and what we can do to help you. So this edition is the Hautie Hustle Special.
What is the very first thing someone should invest in when starting out?
That is a great question. And I think immediately your first answer is going to be something tangible. Your mind instantly goes to, I need a computer, I need a website, I need an Instagram, I need a domain, I need email accounts. And actually, when people do that, they start to absolutely overthink the process of being an entrepreneur. And the reason that most of us are in the business of being in business for ourselves is because we need the one thing that money can't buy, and that's belief in ourselves. And so before you can start a business, before you can buy anything tangible or physical, you have got to invest in yourself in whatever that may be. That could be educating yourself. It could be a skill. It could be a class. It could be an online masterclass tutorial. It could be researching your industry, finding out your competitors, finding your manufacturers. But you've got to invest in the number one asset and the only thing that sets you apart and makes you different, which is you. Because if your mindset is broke, so will your business.
What is one non-negotiable skill every new entrepreneur needs, but nobody talks about?
I definitely think there are many skills that you need as an entrepreneur, but something that we don't talk about enough is just your ability to be resilient and persevere. And you're going to have to get used to hearing the word no. You're going to have to get used to failing. You're going to have to get used to failing publicly. And when you become an entrepreneur, especially if you are pursuing something like affiliate marketing or something that puts you in the world's view on a platform, you become a target and you have to learn how to grow some very thick skin. And I think with social media, especially, we see this highlight reel of people's lives, of our home life, of our business life. And so there is a perception, but perception is not always reality. And you haven't seen the amount of struggles that somebody has gone through to have that one high moment. Owning a business is like being on the worst roller coaster and the best roller coaster all at the same time that you never knew you wanted to be on. There are going to be days where you have great wins and you have high dollar grossing revenue days. You have great employee success stories. You have good customer wins. You have early delivery dates, whatever the case may be, you're going to have a win. And the very next day, you're all the way down at the bottom, hating life, wanting to quit, wanting to shut down your business. And over time, for me, it's taken 13 years to build up thick enough skin that I can just make it to tomorrow. And sometimes that's all we can do here at Hot. We have a saying, I've talked about it here on these AMA episodes before, but it's today, tomorrow, and the next day. And you can only handle as a business owner what's in front of your plate today. And don't worry about tomorrow. That's tomorrow. That's tomorrow's problem. And so I've just learned over time to build up enough resiliency in my life, in my business, in my home life, in my personal life, in my emotional life, in my physical life, that it can sustain me for all of those roller coasters. And along the way, hopefully you figure out processes to help streamline that ride so it's not so bumpy. But we don't talk about the resiliency enough in the entrepreneurial world. And there is just this expectation that we have to immediately start our business and go from no views to 5,000 views. And that's not reality. It's not reality. If you have just 50 views from posting something or 100 views from posting something, where else would you be able to get a captured audience and be in front of 50 people or 100 people all at one time? You can't, right? So you just have to be resilient enough to ride out the waves. And that's one of the things that I love about this series and our podcast is that we're giving a voice to the things that people don't talk about enough, especially as women. We are faced with a lot more challenges in any industry that we are in, and we have to pioneer our way. And so be ready to be resilient, but know that it will 1000% pay off.
What would you do today if you had to start from scratch with no followers, no money, and no plan?
That would be a scary place to be, but
Vomit and die. Actually.
vomit and die, actually. Okay, but seriously, 13 years ago, I would have panicked a lot more. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur, this is the perfect time to be one. And here's why. If you had, we were just having a conversation the other day here at Hot about what would you rather have? And I think Ashley asked this. Would you rather have $500 now, or would you rather have more time? Okay. And she was surprised. She even told me on Friday before I left town. She said, I was actually, it's been sitting with me, your answer. And my answer was the time, because I can make so much more money than $500 with my time. And here's how you do that. If you are a new entrepreneur and you have no idea where to start, but you know you have a product that solves a problem, or you have an idea that solves a problem, you start by telling your story. People love community. People love stories. People love behind the scenes. They love having a glimpse into something they don't think they're supposed to be seeing, something they don't think they're supposed to know. And so the best way that you build yourself up is you've got to find your people. And so the only way you can do that is to tell your story, and you have to be vulnerable and you have to open up. So in today's world, if I were a brand new entrepreneur, I would just start by being live. I would tell my story. I would talk to my customers. I would build my community, because once you have that community, they will be loyal to you until the day you stop your business. And if you are looking for a way, or if you're struggling in your own business and you can't figure out why won't it convert? Why don't I get the sales, right? Something is missing, and it's probably the connection of relationship selling. People want the relationships. It's all we have had since COVID. It's how people are becoming TikTok famous and YouTube famous. They have a community and they have a connection, and there is someone for everyone. You might not feel it, but once you start telling your story, they will come out of the woodworks, and that's me. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. She's just like me. That applies to me. So if you're starting brand new, I would highly encourage you, the number one thing you do is tell your story.
What is one early branding mistake that still makes you cringe but taught you everything?
Well, lots of early anything in Hot makes me cringe, including the fashion. But that is another day. That's why I digress. That's fine. And it's so funny because all of that stuff is coming back. So I say it makes me cringe, but like now all of those things are back in style. So you never know.
Do you know the Vogue where they have the models look back at the
Yes.
they wore on the run? We should do that with
We
Hot.
should totally do that with Hot. There would be some moments that you guys would be like,
Ooh,
interesting
girl,
choice.
take it off.
Take it off, okay? But I would say for branding specifically, it's actually a very common problem. And most all of us, especially if you're a woman, tend to have an idea for a business, or again, a product that solves a problem. We have this, top A list of people that we want to be like, right? So we see other businesses, we see other influencers, we see other TikTok people, we see YouTube influencers, we see other boutiques, we see other brands. I want to be like that. I want to be like this person. I have people tell me all the time, I want to be just like you when I grow up, right? And they're adults. I don't want you to be just like me. And that is the number one mistake that I made. I was trying too hard to be the people that I looked up to, instead of just being me. And this kind of ties back to the question we were just talking about being resilient and being able to roll with the punches. And if you had to start over and make money from scratch selling yourself and selling your story, you have to go through your own journey to find your own way. And any brand that's built inauthentically is not a brand at all, and your business will fail. You have got to open up and peel back all the layers and create your own story for your customers to relate to, so that you can find your own path. I started off being a children's store because at the time I thought that I wanted a children's store because there was another children's store that was successful and I wanted to be just like them. So I opened up and had a children's boutique and it was successful. But what actually ended up taking me into another level of more followers and more community was cups. Something I never thought that I would be doing. I opened up with the intent of being a children's clothing store. I actually closed that children's clothing store in 2020 because it just wasn't successful for me. And now here we are, 13 years later, we don't even sell kids' clothes. And so it took me going on my own journey for 13 years to figure out that the brand I wanted to be just like was actually not the right path for me at all. And I was going down a path that was making me too much like something that was already saturated in the market. And the minute that I found a product that made me stand out, I gained the followers. I gained the recognition. You'll never forget, I took a lip sense product and I put it on. I took a hamburger, not my finest moment, but we will find this. I took a hamburger and I wiped the hamburger from Wendy's across my face to show that the lipstick didn't come off. And I sold more that week than I had in a year of selling kids' clothes on lip sense because I found a way to stand out. I found a way to be unique. I found a way to give people a memory and something to remember me by. And I think that's what you have to do when you're branding yourself. You have to remember that that's fluid, right? You have to be willing to adapt. Don't go copy somebody else. And so I think the biggest cringe mistake anyone can make is just trying to emulate someone that you're not. Find your authentic self, tell your story, your business will succeed.
So since these questions have been a little heavy and
Yes,
hard-hitting.
they have, but very informative.
Very, very informative, yes.
Yes.
Let me do a little lighthearted one.
Okay.
If you're scared of looking stupid, are you even ready to start something from nothing?
Well, you cannot look any more stupid than me because I just told the world that I wiped a hamburger across my face with lip sense on trying to sell a red lipstick. So I would say, no, you're not ready. And listen, people love comedy. And I have used that as a way to propel my business in more ways than one. I'm going to give you a specific example. I did that at a time in my life where I had just had my second child and I was in postpartum depression. I was having a lot of mom guilt because I wasn't home with my youngest daughter and I wasn't comfortable in my body. And so I used comedy as a way to take the attention and the focus off of my body because I didn't want to model the clothes at the time and put it to my face because I knew I had at least a pretty face. And if I could get my attention here and not here, it would make me feel better. So I used humiliation, comedy, making myself feel stupid, maybe even humiliating myself, some might say. And I used that, but it worked. Mm-hmm. Because in that moment, I became real and I became relatable and I became not just somebody behind the camera, not just somebody in a picture. I became someone real that my customers can connect to. And I have had most of those same customers from that moment for the last 13 years. So if you're not willing to be vulnerable, if you're not willing to look silly, to look stupid, to embarrass yourself, you're not ready.
Yeah.
You're not ready because I have a big wake up call for you. If you don't do it for yourself, at some point, someone else will do it for you. And it's so much better to laugh at ourselves than for other people to laugh at us. And so I just think you have to be ready for anything as a business owner. But if you can use moments where you might be hurt or struggling or sad and turn that into comedy, but make people relate to you, man, those are your people and they will be with you for life.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of AMA Ask Me Anything with Amy. And this was the Hautie Hustle edition. If you loved the feedback here and you love the entrepreneurial advice, and for those of you who are just starting out as brand new baby business owners and you want more coaching with me, comment down below and let us know. More content coming your way, and we will see you next time.